Welcome to the Eureka podcast. Who hasn't felt that familiar sigh of frustration after a really difficult exam?
Oh, definitely.
Or perhaps you've looked around and wondered, why some people seem to just breathe through tests. Like almost no effort.
While others study for weeks and still struggle. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a pretty universal experience, isn't it?
Mm.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into this exact topic. We're going to pull apart what exams truly measure and maybe what crucial aspects of a person's abilities they might completely miss.
Yeah.
So our core question for this deep dive is a big one. Are exams really a fair way to measure intelligence?
It's definitely a question that stirs up a lot of debate, that's for sure. And we're really eager to explore all its nuances with you.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it then. When we talk about intelligence, what are we actually talking about? Because, that word itself feels like such a huge, sprawling landscape.
That's a crucial starting point. Intelligence isn't just about how quickly you can recall facts or dates, is it? Not really.
Right.
It's a far broader concept. Think about it. It includes things like creativity, how good you are at problem solving,
Okay.
emotional intelligence, understanding and managing emotions, both yours and others, and even just sheer adaptability, your ability to handle new situations.
That's a really powerful distinction. But then, if intelligence is truly that wide-ranging, are our main assessment tools, exams, even looking at the right things.
Oh,
Most exams seem to narrow this down quite a bit, don't they? Mostly testing logical thinking, maybe writing skills, and pure factual recall. It feels like we're only testing one tiny slice of a person's total cognitive pie.
you've really hit on something vital there. And the real punch, I think, is how this narrow focus shapes our collective idea of what it means to be smart.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, if our education systems mostly reward logical and linguistic skills, we sort of risk overlooking incredibly valuable talents, don't we?
Like what kinds of talents?
Well, the very ones that drive innovation or build strong communities maybe lead to amazing artistic achievements. So it's not just about what exams miss, it's about what we miss out on by letting them define intelligence so narrowly.
Huh. So it's less about exams being inherently bad, maybe,
Yeah, perhaps.
and more about the ripple effect, like how that narrow definition funnels talent, dictates who we think is valuable, and maybe even stifles the creativity we actually need in the real world.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
That makes you wonder for yourself. Like, do you consider yourself good at exams? And when you think about it, do exams test your intelligence?
Yeah.
Or is it mostly your memory?
Good questions.
It really prompts the question. Can someone be, genuinely smart, even if they don't do brilliantly in a traditional school setting?
Precisely. These are really excellent questions to keep in your mind as we delve deeper into this.
Okay, so let's talk fairness. On the surface, I often think, well, exams seem fair because they offer a level playing field, right?
Yeah.
Everyone gets the same questions, the same amount of time. It's standardized.
And that standardization, well, that's precisely where the paradox lies, isn't it?
How so?
Because people aren't standardized. We all come with vastly different strengths, unique ways of learning, and, this is a big one, wildly varying levels of test anxiety.
Right, test anxiety. That's a real issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've heard some pretty startling statistics on how many students struggle with that pressure.
Oh, it's a massive factor.
Yeah.
Research suggests that something like 60% of students experience anxiety before high-stakes tests.
50%.
Yeah. And for many, that anxiety doesn't just make them feel a bit nervous, it can actually impair their cognitive function.
So it affects how they think.
Absolutely. It impacts their performance far more than their actual understanding of the subject. So an exam might often end up measuring how well you perform under pressure, rather than truly assessing your intelligence or your knowledge.
So it's not just that some students get nervous. It's like the format itself might be actively hiding what they actually know.
That's a real possibility, yeah.
That feels inherently unfair, doesn't it?
It certainly raises questions about fairness.
And then there's creativity. Exams rarely give you space for, original thinking, do they?
Not usually, no.
They seem to demand structured answers, sort of fitting your brilliant, sprawling thoughts into a neat little predefined box.
That's spot on. And it really prompts us to consider, can intelligence truly be measured accurately by any single method? Probably not. And if not, what are some other ways, maybe some alternative ways we could evaluate a student's ability? Ways that might capture more of that broader intelligence we talked about earlier?
Yeah, alternatives.
It also makes you wonder, maybe schools should place less importance on test results overall.
I can totally relate to that freezing up thing you mentioned. It's like exams have this weird power to turn brilliant minds into, I don't know, deer in headlights sometimes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it can feel like that.
I remember this one student, she could explain really complex stuff using superhero analogies. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But put a pen in her hand for a timed essay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like her brain just short-circuited. Meanwhile, you've got someone else who's maybe great at rote memorization.
Right. Good memory.
And they ace every test without ever truly getting the deeper concepts. That whole dynamic really highlights the need for alternatives, I think.
It absolutely does. And, there are many alternative assessment methods gaining some traction now.
Like what?
Well, for instance, project-based assessments.
Okay.
This could be anything from, say, creating a video documentary or designing a detailed research proposal, maybe writing an in-depth essay at home over time.
So things that take more sustained effort.
Exactly. They allow for critical thinking, resourcefulness, maybe even digital literacy skills. A timed exam just can't really touch. They show application, not just recall.
Right. And what about group work? I know grading it can be a nightmare sometimes.
True, it has its challenges.
But it teaches collaboration, which is like an absolutely vital skill in pretty much any real-world job, isn't it? And exams almost never capture that.
Precisely. And then there are things like portfolios.
Portfolios?
Yeah, like curated collections of a student's work over time. They can demonstrate growth, show the process, highlight diverse abilities. It gives a much more complete, sort of evolving picture of what a student can actually do.
Okay, let's be real for a second. In the working world, outside of maybe some specific certification exams,
Sure.
people aren't usually asked to write essays in 40 minutes with no internet access, right?
Didn't really know.
You work in teams, you use every resource you can find, you take the time you need to solve complex problems. So, in many ways, is the traditional exam model just outdated?
That's a fair question. In some contexts, yeah, it could certainly be seen as a bit of an outdated relic. But it's also worth acknowledging that exams do still test some important foundational skills, things like time management, structured logical thinking, clear written communication.
Okay, fair point.
And, for large-scale education systems, they remain one of the most practical and, efficient ways to evaluate many students relatively fairly. It's imperfect, definitely, but often a pragmatic solution.
That brings up some fascinating sort of what-ifs. Like if you, the listener, could design a perfect test, one that truly captured intelligence in its fullest sense, what would it include?
Interesting.
And thinking about your own past, have you ever done significantly better, or maybe way worse, in an exam than you expected? Why do you think that happened? It's a great way to explore your own relationship with these kinds of assessments.
Expanding on that idea of diverse abilities, have you ever heard of Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences?
Vaguely, yeah. Remind me.
Well, he argued that intelligence isn't just about logical reasoning or, linguistic ability, the stuff traditionally valued in schools.
Right.
It also includes things like musical intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, basically physical skill and coordination.
Like athletes or dancers.
Exactly. And interpersonal intelligence, which is essentially social smarts, understanding people, and there are several others too.
So someone who's incredibly talented in music or sports, or maybe they're a natural leader who can just rally a team. They might not shine on a traditional math or literature exam, but they are clearly intelligent in really significant ways.
Absolutely. Profoundly significant.
Which raises a pretty provocative point. Are our schools even valuing the right kinds of intelligence?
Ooh, that truly is a whole conversation in itself.
Uh-huh.
But largely, most school systems still heavily prioritize verbal and logical skills. And part of the reason is just practical, really.
How so?
Well, think about it. How do you objectively grade creativity or empathy or the ability to inspire a team? They're inherently subjective, aren't they? Really challenging to quantify fairly on a mass scale.
True. Do you think there's a shift happening in education, though? Are things slowly starting to change?
I think we are seeing a slow, sort of deliberate shift. Some schools are definitely experimenting with new assessment models, things like open book exams, more project-based work, presentations becoming more common.
Okay, that's hopeful.
It is. But standardized tests still remain the main gatekeepers, especially for sorting students for university admissions.
Right. The big ones.
Yeah. Though take something like the IELTS, the International English Language Testing System. It's highly standardized, yes, but it tries to assess a broader range of skills: speaking, writing, listening, and reading.
So it covers more bases.
It does. And interestingly, the speaking part actually rewards some creativity in your responses, not just perfectly correct grammar. So it aims for a more balanced measure of English proficiency, for example.
Okay, so when we pull all these different threads together, what intelligence even is? The fairness of exams, the alternatives, these multiple intelligences. What does this all mean in the end? Are exams truly a fair way to measure intelligence?
Well, it really comes back to your definition of fair, doesn't it? They are fair in the sense of standardization, giving everyone the same basic conditions.
Huh?
However, they consistently seem to fall short in capturing the full, rich picture of a person's actual abilities.
Yeah?
They often miss crucial things like creativity, collaboration skills, emotional intelligence, those things we talked about. They mostly test memory and logic, often under pressure.
But that's not everything.
It's certainly not the sum total of what makes a person intelligent, not even close.
Exactly. Maybe the real takeaway here is that exams should just be one of several tools in the assessment toolbox.
Yes, a tool, not the whole kit.
Not the entire toolbox itself.
And perhaps to leave you with a final thought to mull over,
Okay.
if your future employer only saw your exam scores, what essential aspects of your skills, your personality, your potential, what would they miss entirely?
Ooh, that's a powerful question to reflect on indeed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Remember, your intelligence is so much more than just a number. Stay curious.